Hey everyone, welcome to day 2 of the Sunflower Seams Goldenrod Sew Along. Today we will be completing steps 1 through 18. The first chunk of steps will be only applicable to those doing the pleated bodice. If you are doing the simple bodice, please hang tight while we complete the pleated bodice steps. If you are completing the pleated bodice, you will want to adhere your knit interfacing to the center of your pleated bodice panel using the directions that came with your knit interfacing. Once it is properly adhered to the wrong side of the panel, you will want to fold your bodice panel in half with the wrong sides of the fabric touching. Along the folded edge, you will want to measure 1.5 inches and mark with a washable pin or marker. Next, you will want to draw a vertical line from the top raw edge to the bottom raw edge that is parallel to that folded line. And you'll want to do that at the 1.5 inch mark that you just drew. Now you will want to sew along that line. Once you sew along that line, you will want to open up your pleated bodice panel and press the fold flat. When you're pressing, you want to make sure that the fold line of your pleated panel is lying on top of the stitch line that you created when you sewed at that 1.5 inch mark. So it just makes sure that this first pleat is centered. Once you have pressed your pleat, you will then pull each side away and top stitch along just the folded edge of your pleat, and then repeat for the opposite side. So top stitch along that fold. Next, you will take your pin or marker and measure 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter away from that folded edge that we just created. Once those marks are made, you will then want to draw a vertical line starting at the top raw edge and ending at the bottom raw edge along that 3/8 mark that is parallel to the folded edge of the pleat. You will then want to fold your pleated panel along that line you just drew with the wrong sides of the fabric touching, and then press well. And you will be top stitching 1/4 of an inch away from the folded edge. Now you will want to press the pleat that you just created away from the center pleat. Now we will take our rulers once again and measure 3/8 of an inch away from the pleat that we just made. We will once again draw a line from the top raw edge to the bottom raw edge of our pleated panel, aligned at that 3/8 mark, parallel to the pleats we have created. Fold at the line that was just drawn with the wrong sides of the fabric touching. Press well and then top stitch 1/4 of an inch away from the folded edge. You will repeat these steps for a total of 3 pleats on one side for sizes 18-month to a 3, or a total of 4 pleats on each side for the 4 to a 14. Once 3 or 4 total pleats are on the first side, you will then repeat the process to have 3 or 4 total pleats on the opposite side. Once all of your pleats are created, you will want to fold your pleated bodice panel in half along that center fold. So you will want to make sure that all your pleats are aligned. And you may find it beneficial to baste your pleats down before this process so that they don't get twisted before you start cutting out your front bodice piece. So once it's folded in half, you will want to take your front bodice pattern piece and align the fold line with the fold of your front bodice pleat. Once you have everything aligned, you will want to trace around your pattern piece and then cut it out. Once your pleated front bodice is cut out, you will want to baste your pleats down around the neckline and at the bottom raw edge of your front bodice piece. The following steps are now for the simple and the pleated bodice version. So take your front bodice main and lay it down with the wrong side of the fabric touching the table. Take the back bodice main and lay it on top of your front bodice main with the right sides of the fabric touching. You will want to align the shoulder seams and the arm size. Pin in place. Now zigzag stitch or serge your shoulder seams. Now you will want to repeat those steps, but this time using your lining pieces. So lining front down with the wrong side of the fabric touching the table. Lay your lining back on top of the lining main with the right sides of the fabric touching and align at the shoulder seams, pinning in place, and then sew with either a zigzag stitch or a serger. If you chose to zigzag your shoulder seams, then you will want to press your shoulder seams flat on both the lining and the main. Now, lay your main on the table with the wrong side of the fabric touching the table. Lay the lining bodice piece on top of the main with the right side of the fabric touching each other. You will want to align your necklines and pin it in place. Now you will want to sew around the circle neckline. If you are using a zigzag stitch, you will want to trim away half of the seam allowance once you are done. If you are using a serger, obviously there won't be any seam allowance to trim. Now you will want to turn your bodice right side out. If you created the pleated bodice version, you will want to flip your bodice front main up and understitch just along that pleated section. And how you understitch is the seam that connects your lining to your main. You are going to top stitch it down to the lining side of the bodice. Lastly, all versions will want to press their bodice well. And that wraps up day 2 of our Sunflower Seams Goldenrod Sew Along. Join us tomorrow for day 3 as we create the optional back ties and then sew the side seams of our bodice.